match. We saw Dairoth in the jungle. We saw Grok in the jungle. We finally saw a Moskov debuting here at SPS. Is this something that Homeboys usually goes for?
Okay, that's the thing, right? When it comes to the composition, but before I get into the drafts first, right? There's something that I want to tell is that, first of all, the Grand Finals LAN event is going to be in Jakarta. And right now, I know like I'm citing Homeboys, and I told you that during my predictions, like it is a very, very hard one. But I still cannot imagine if, and only if, RRQ doesn't make it to the Grand Finals. And imagining a Indonesia LAN event without RRQ feels a little bit weird for me.
No, it's
personally.
fine.
No, it doesn't.
It feels really weird for me.
Fine.
Why is
So
it fine for you?
that's why I
It's
say
weird for
it's
us.
Because we
hard.
won MSC.
Uh-oh.
Oh, wow. All right,
Okay.
all right.
RRQ, no problem.
You really had to flex that.
Oh,
Okay.
indirect shot.
Where was
right there.
Malaysia?
Today's the day. Let's go, Homeboys. Come on.
But yeah, coming back to the question, right? Is Homeboys known for weird picks like Todak, or
Okay.
is it just a Todak thing?
So the thing about Homeboys is that they have been very, very inconsistent with their shot calling. They always kind of have this tunnel vision mental block back in the days. And ever since they introduced Coach Dale as well as with Warlord and Barbosa into this team in the previous MPL MY Season 11, they have gotten their best ever achievement, which is pretty much top 3. And ever since then, they have been showing a lot of signs that they are growing and they're very, very serious on improving the Malaysia scene from MLBB ever since Malaysia pretty much lost their 2 slot tickets to the international stages.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side of RRQ, Hoshi, the fact that it's Renbo playing and not Naomi, I've gotten word that in terms of the hero picks, it shouldn't be that different. I mean, of course, yes, they're different people, they're different players, but it's on Renbo, what you get for RRQ Hoshi is this. You get a slightly similar hero pool to Naomi, so not that big a deal in terms of the drafting, but more importantly, you get better communication with the team, which may actually be the biggest factor here for RRQ Hoshi if they want to get out of this with a victory.
Rembo's kind of weird like that, right? Because Rembo was previously actually the mid laner, but he can flex really well. We saw him in Bigatron, and he's actually brought in things like the Johnson in the mid lane. So I think those weird picks can be translated into the roam. We'll see how that goes as we enter the drafts of game number 1.
You know, I like that you actually brought up the Johnson as well. Zorn has brought it up before when his days during Red Giants, but at the same time, let's talk a little bit more about the pools here, coming from Zorn in particular. He's been known for his aggressive playstyles in terms of roaming potential. He plays a lot of Cho, he plays a lot of Kufra. Minsitar is one of his iconic heroes as well. When the revamp came in the previous season, he was one of the very few teams that brought it, players that actually brought it up for his team and actually won games with it. So it's something that I think Eterna, you did mention about the hero that really stand out in terms of weird here. That would be the particular hero, even though Minsitar is not really popular even in the MSC stages.
It was quite popular actually.
I
mean,
guess.
because like
Here,
the current meta just really highlights these dash heavy heroes, right?
yeah.
We see Lancelot, Arlet, and those kinds of heroes just really does get, you know, incapacitated by the ultimate of the King's Calling coming in from Minsitar. So we'll look out for that. I mean, for now, it is going to be the Valentina Kadita ban from the side of RQ and the Fanny taken away from Fursa.
Yeah, and the bans here by RRQ, it makes sense. Clay just loves those high ground mages, artillery mages, so of course you'd want to take away the Valentina so that if ever they pick up an Eve or a Farsa, that Homeboys wouldn't be able to get the ultimate of RRQ, and then at the same time, well, they actually take out the Eve, which is surprising for me. I will be honest, I thought that they took away the Kadita so that it could be available for themselves, but maybe they were considering the 2 picks of HP.
Okay, that's the thing about RRQ, right? They know for a fact that because they were playing in the same scene before, especially from Warlord coming from Indonesia, they kind of know what Warlord has his comfort moments and his moments of brilliance during this Indonesian time.
Great
and
point.
Homeboys has shined so much because of the fact that Warlord was able to demonstrate himself that he has so much flexibility and able to snowball his heroes. So I feel like RQ is in a situation where like I have answers to meta heroes, but I don't really have good answers for Warlord. So in this case, they're trying to limit options for Warlord and kind of force the rest of Homeboys to actually play unorthodox meta heroes to kind of compensate to play around Warlord.
Yeah, that makes sense with something that LaFell mentioned to me earlier, that Homeboys is a team that just loves their river control, and Eve is fantastic with the holding the river, holding the middle portion of the map. So RRQ, they'll play it safe, they'll pick up the Fredrin, but based off of what we saw from Evo's Icon earlier, let's not automatically assume that we'll go into the jungle, but there's a relatively good chance that it will.
Don't get thrown off is basically what we need to expect from Indonesia. Because usually we always feel the same way about games from Malaysia, honestly, but Indo are also kind of in that,
gray area
as well. So now Novaria as well as Arlet has been picked up by the Homeboys, and with the Faramis being taken out as well, what is Warlord gonna play?
That's the thing, right? I think it's going to be the Novaria coming from Homeboys. I don't think Zorn plays a lot of mage heroes. So far, I've only seen him play a Selena, and that was like, what, 2, 3, 4 years back during his time with GigFam. So I don't think it is going to be a double mage roaming composition. But I feel like RRQ is a little bit threatened here. They're trying to get a little bit more security with this Faramis pickup. And so far, with this Arlot pickup, it makes a lot of sense because of the fact that you need somebody kind of zone Faramis in the backlines, and currently with this opening coming from Homeboys, they don't really have that. However, they do have the Melissa, which is something that can actually deal with the Call Altar alongside by I would say the denial pick here coming from RQ with the Claude.
Yeah, and most importantly, the Melissa will just shine alongside the slow that the Astral Echo of the Novaria can dish out in the control of the Arlot. And the fact that RRQ decided to pick up the Claude right away, they said, you know what, we don't want to fight for the marksman or worry about our marksman going into the second phase, so we'll pick it up right away. So right now we're looking at a roam for Homeboys, maybe potentially, and a mage for RRQ Hoshi. Hence why Homeboys took out that Farsa. But we also really have to address that Faramis doesn't necessarily have to be a roam, it can be a mage as well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, right? Because Clay in RRQ has used the Faramis a lot as a mid laner. It just really helps the way that RRQ likes to go for team fights. But with this, with the Farsa being banned away, the Uranus as well, very interesting. But it looks like Reptar, you're emoting. What's on your mind?
I just like the Uranus ban. Uranus after MSC was one of those picks that I'm looking at.
Just because Onyx picked it and kind of won games with it, huh?
Yeah, that, and also, come on, we gotta consider the fact that sometimes in the draft, it really doesn't have a direct answer to it, so it'll just keep splitting, and then the map will get ruined. So Homeboy said, we really don't want to take that chance. We'll take that Uranus out. Very respectable.
So, ruin, huh? So now I know what type of person you are now, huh?
What's that? What's that?
You like what type, huh?
Whoa, there. What's with this psychological
I'm a little
analysis?
confused as well.
What is this?
Oh, but
You get it. But now, seeing the
Martis.
Archive ban, and as well as the Martis pickup coming from Homeboys, which is, I think I like the idea that Homeboys is going, but considering that based on this draft head-to-head, if I didn't have MSC as a reference point, I would have liked Homeboys draft a little bit more. But after seeing MSC's performance, we do see a lot of counter plays and split push strategy, which is something that, as of now, based on Homeboys, they do lack rotational capabilities to try to keep up if they go for this kind of split push front-to-front fights.
That's interesting, and that actually begs the question, does RQ want to go for an assassin in the jungle, or are they going to stick to the Fredrin? And the answer is they're going to stick to the Fredrin. Lapalap in the EXP, we have Minotaur for their roam, and it looks like their drafts are coming together. Last pick, Homeboys.
Oh, it's going to be their roamer pickup. Wonder if they're just going to decide to go ahead and pick up a Franco, or this, the Diggy.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, is this a surprising pick for Sorn?
This is so Barbosa, no?
I've never seen Zorn play Dig like this before. Like, this is new to me. This is actually off the books new to me. I'm surprised they're going for this double roam composition. I like the idea coming from Homeboys, but I feel like RRQ, they have a very, very solid composition where they want to make space for seeing the kind of farm offsides here. They have 4 very, very annoying heroes to actually buy time, and beefy ones as well. They do not have those high kill potential values, but if they can drag this game long enough, this is where Zin is going to be able to carry the game for RRQ.
Honestly, I think the Diggy pickup is also exceptional, right? Because they want to try and perhaps bully the gold laner as well, right? Give the Claude a little bit of a fighting chance in that lane against Melissa. So I'm actually curious what the casters are doing. Are they still unleashing the beast with their energy drinks? Let's pass it over to Leo as well as Mirko.
Well,
It's like the beast was always within us, but Monster just allows for us to let it all through. Welcome to the desk. My name is Leo at your service, here with Mirko, and we're bringing you this best of 3. Here we go. Homeboys pulls out a Diggy at the last minute.
I think even RRQ were not ready for that pick. I mean, you can already see from the bans, the Akai and the last bans, they were really expecting Zorn to go for Zorn type of heroes. Zorn type of heroes are flashy heroes, initiation. So putting Zorn on a Diggy, is that going to work out? That is the big question right now for Homeboys.
And it's something that you gotta wonder, right? There's a lot of aggression up top. That's 3 members from each side being sent up for some early skirmishes. Was this an oversight from Coach Zaya, the newly minted Burmese coach for RRQ? Because again, he's one of the greatest drafters I've seen in recent history, but the Diggy fell through. The Diggy, especially after that Minotaur pickup.
It is really weird to see something like this, like an oversight for Zaya himself, but we will see how it works out. Maybe the idea for RRQ is the fact that they have a lot of CC that they can play to just try to overwhelm the Diggy with more CC. And we have seen that work before, you know, with a lot of these clumped up initiation-heavy compositions with CC. But speaking of CC, you guys should join in the raffle.
That's right. You don't want to miss out on what's going to go down in Jakarta in just about a month's time. Real quick, here's a pull.
That's some CC. Fairsick able to dish out some damage, but Warlord is still able to escape on this Navari. You got to be very careful. Fairsick is building up the stacks, but a decimation is going to come through from Chibi. First Blood Clay going to be brought under the turret, forced to back away. 10 seconds for the first turtle. And this might just be a free turtle conceded away from RRQ.
Yep, given that it was Fursic who fell, this gives Chibi a great advantage if he so decides to go for it. But now Banana, not even level 4 yet, hits it just around about the right time, same as Sepat here. But Fursic is going to make it on the scene on time, but as you can see, obviously, there's an XP gap between both of them. Speaking of which, in that early engagement in mid, I think, yes, RRQ should have a great dive potential, but not this early on, not like this. It can't overload.
Final slash already right now as Banana does the same thing to the back line, but Chibi finds the retribution. Chipoy and Fairsick unable to get close enough to the turtle, and Homeboys are controlling the early game tempo.
Yep, so if Homeboys keep this up, if they maintain the space between them and their opponents, it should be a better ramp up for them going into the mid-game power spike. They're almost about 1,000 gold ahead already, and for those wondering, yeah, this is Chipoy, the one and the same Renbo, previously known when he was playing mid. This is an interesting direction for him to take, but I'm expecting a lot from him, especially since he is on the Minotaur, who has become quite the commodity from MSC.
And I honestly, looking at the players as well for RRQ, it's not just Chipoy who's who I expect a lot from, but I think I can speak for most Indonesians as well. We are all expecting so much from Zen, especially with his comeback here to the main RRQ lineup. We'll see how he performs on the Claude, especially considering that Skylar is one of the best Claudes in the world. Can Zen step back into those shoes?
Yep, if you know the history between RRQ's main lineup gold, but now Clay forced to use the flicker. Oh no, Astral Echoes.
Cold Alter already popped in. Sepat still has the final slash, brings him back for the decimation to pop through. It's all Homeboys in the first 3 minutes of the game, even in the top lane. Anip is doing really well in this lane up against Zen, who's forced to go back onto the BMI. Now a lot of few shots coming down. Mortal Coil to CC him up, but Chipoy flickers forward, getting the stun, getting the healing all the way to give Zen some more space to get out, but it does not change anything. Anip is still able to soak in all the turret gold with Chibi.
That's a lot of good money going over to Homeboys. They're building up to a 2K gold lead in 4 minutes. This is amazing. And this is how you play a jungle Mars. In addition to weaving in and out using those iframes and the amazing mobility you have in these small skirmishes, you want to be able to snowball. And a 2-0 against RRQ who wants to dive in, is that not the textbook definition of a snowball? Already a great start for the Homeboys. I'm sure the Flame Boys watching right now are going crazy.
Clay is bringing them back right now with the Shadow Stampede. That's also the bravest fighter, but it's going to be the go-away. Placed down with a time journey to go for the peel. On him in the back, still able to survive, but that's the flicker from Banana, and the Appraiser's Wrath from Fairsick to take Zorn and Anip down. GB, though, with a Mortal Coil, utilizes the decimation to get the kill over, and it is still Homeboys who had control over neutral objectives.
And just like that, it's a replay of the earlier engagement we saw towards mid lane, and still 100% turtle take rate for the Homeboys. Something I noted here is the fact that Clay as Faramis has to do two things. He has to both deal damage, given that he's the only magic source for RRQ, and also he has to watch out for the Cult Altar. So again, maybe... Is it weird for me to say that maybe it's RRQ who's getting overloaded themselves?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going on right now. RRQ are trying to fill in so many different positions, so many different holes in their game, and Homeboys just have the answer to end every single question that RRQ raises. Here, we're going to take a look at the item builds right now, and you can really see it. Even Xin is really struggling, despite being on a good matchup against the Melissa on this Claude.
And this is a telltale sign of how ahead Homeboys are. Look at Sepat, just going straight from the boots, upgraded, into the Thunderbelt. That's it. He knows that he's going to deal a lot of damage. He knows that he means business when he comes in, finds a perfect final slash, or even just weaves those vengeances around. And just the same, when you're looking at Anip up against Sin, who already has a lot of pressure on his shoulders from not just the Kingdom, but all of the Indonesians watching SPS right now, there's what? A 600, 700 gold difference between both of them. And an XP level gap too.
And this is how you play with the Melissa, right? Just let her transition into all the lanes, get the snowball going, play with the Melissa, especially if you have someone like a Diggy who can really force the Claude out of lane. Because the reason... Oh, beautiful, beautiful CC there from Chibi, cutting it open so that Anip and Warlord can actually get some more pressure into the mid lane. Whoa. They might actually go for it. Wow, Chibi, 1v3, still able to survive. The Shadow Stampede brings him back. That's the Mid Fury as well. A snipe down coming through, but Chibi can always get out with a Mortal Coil. Meanwhile, Banana, though, has to burn out a Flicker. Anip does place the Inspire, use the Inspire, but it's going to be very worth it for them for that trade, Flicker for Inspire.
Yep, they won out. Even if they did lose one, if it would eventually trade out for a turret, Homeboys are just pushing the advantage here. They're going to go ahead and be first to the scene. 4 members from Homeboys first posting up. Going to pull here slightly. And they do have vision on the members of RRQ who's looking to contest. And again, Fursic is in no place to fight Chibi right now. That's a what? 3 level gold lead, 3 level XP lead.
It's massive. It's back to just 2 because Fursic was able to clear out a few more cannon or creeps in the jungle. Thing is, we kind of spoke about this backstage, and even Eterna mentioned it, the inconsistency of Fursic. How is he going to perform here up against one of the most consistent junglers in MPO Malaysia, Chibi, with his impeccable retributions? Unfortunately for Fursic, that has been one of his weak points, right? His retribution has always been a bit shaky.
Yep, last seen in his heyday of MSC 2021 and winning the MPL ID in Season 7. It's a tough go for RRQ right now, seeing that they're 3K down, and now Banana, the only frontliner. Here comes Fursic from the north. Oh, see, they know that even with a pincer maneuver like that, even with an amazing angle, RRQ are not in a shape to fight.
They have a time journey. I think Banana was trying to bait that out before Chipui goes for an engage, but now Mid Fury gets popped in. Zorn doesn't even use it, and look at Anip doing so much damage with a backup as well for Warlord. Now it's going to be Sempa jumping in onto Banana, who's still able to escape. Versik, Xin, and Clay defending that bottom tier 2, but Banana is in the midst right now. Forced to use the Bravest Fighter, 1 HP. That damage reduction is really saving him, but it seems like for Homeboys, Warlord understands RRQ to the tidbits.
Yep, and an interesting go at this. We noticed that RRQ are already overloaded. The fact that Warlord and Sepat have such an easy go at it, it just spells out what Homeboys have been doing throughout the early to mid. Now at 9 minutes, not a single death on that XP laner and that mid laner. Hell, even Chibi hasn't died. So our analysts were asking, hey, is this Zorn a Diggy player? It doesn't matter. He's doing amazing right now.
If you play the flashy heroes, the initiation heroes, you should understand how to counter it as well.
That makes sense, yeah.
Zorn has been in the game for such a long time, and, you know, on the Ziggy, he is really popping off, even going for the Impure Rage. So it's not just a random roam Diggy, it's a roam mage Diggy. He's going to deal so much damage towards the late game.
Yep, he built the fleeting time, so he knows that as long as I can make conversions out of the time's journey, I can keep going. And now, it's Warlord who secures the Lord, and now Banana catches one one.
Zorn still with the time journey right now, and that's going to be a Nip free hitting in the back line. That's going to be Mini Fury connecting onto the back as well, but it does not matter. Chibi's going wild, a Nip as well. Zin with a blazing duet defensively. Warlord picks up the killing spree, and it's practically a wipeout. The only reason it wasn't was because of Clay's passive. Homeboys can just walk through the base now. Clay is 2 levels behind of Warlord. At this point, what can he say in this base siege?
Oh, wow. They force the Holy Shield to pop, and they put in a 5th of damage, and it looks like they're not done because Anip is staying. And again, you all know, at this point, everybody knows the dynamics and the interaction between a Melissa and a Faramis. Cult Altar means nothing to a Melissa. Forget about it.
Forget about it indeed. Banana there getting melted down. RRQ, you can see the predictions 91%, but it does not matter. Homeboys, they thrive being the underdogs, but that's a weird engage from Anip. Gonna be sliced down by Zin, as now it's another overextension from Subpot all the way under the base turret. It's Zin getting a double kill, showing that RRQ are still in it.
All right, homeboys, y'all were ahead 5K, 6K, maybe even 7, but that's still Zin. That's still Zin, and he's only died once, and because of what happened here, he's been able to build up to 3 core items, upgraded his boots, and now has a solid pair of pants. I'm guessing he doesn't even have to upgrade the pants. He can build up to 1 more core item and then completely threaten homeboys. Again, this is a medium-sized 6K. We talk about like relative gold leads. This is still something that RRQ can work with and even cross the river for.
I think if we look at the items as well here, the power spike is there, technically. The fact that Zin has only kept, has kept his gold deficit to this extent is crazy. The fact that Melissa is only 800 gold ahead of him.
It's because of that last clash. A lot of bank
shutdowns
came through over. Yep. And now homeboys pushing RRQ out of their own jungle. This is the Indonesian side of the map. So homeboys know that they're still ahead. They have to close the gap. And something to note, right? A majority of this, half of the 60 gold lead is on Chibi alone. So that's something to note. Chibi has to be the one to say, you know what? I can take 2, I can take 3. Let's force it. Definitely a penetration here down bottom.
Definitely. Oh, final slash onto 2 on Nip now with the combo. Doing so much damage with the bundles. Instantly, the Decimate comes through as well. Chibi finds another. And it's a Nip who's able to find Fairsick. Now Zin gonna be stunned up. That's the bundles once again. But Immediate Fury connects onto 4. A late time journey here from Zorn, but it does not matter. They get the shielding and they get what's necessary. Clay dove under the base. It's gonna be Clay bringing Sapot back. Zin doing the damage to go for a shutdown again. And he finds a killing spree. Sepot falls. Now in the mid lane, it's another minion wave. But Nip should be able to siege this down, and Zin has no say in it for now.
As messy as that engage was, it still was a 3-for-1 plus 2 inhibitors falling. So RRQ now have to consider, you know what? This lower quarter of the map, the other half of the map for us, is going to be, again, dangerous is an understatement. But yeah, it's dangerous for us to walk around here, especially given that homeboys are now 7K ahead. I'm surprised that Fursick even would decide to try and contest here. What's going on? Soren has his ult. They have the Astro Echo. Spots 3 here. Watch for the Time's Journey. Watch where Banana will land. He still has his bravest fighter.
Look at the muddle placement by Anip. He hasn't even used the Inspire here. Call Altar comes down, but the muddle placement is on point. Anip once again forcing it out. No Call Altar. Clay walking in front with the Shadow Stampede, getting some movement speed, but with this, I think it might just be RRQ conceding again. There's no way they can fight for this Lord unless Zin can make a miracle play, but it's going to be a zone. Good muddle placement once again from Anip, and it's a free Lord over to homeboys. This time, 13th minute, it's the enhanced one.
Yep, and that's going to be marching on through mid. It looks like the waves are in a healthy spot right now. Map is looking red. RRQ has to stay inside their base. Here's one thing that I think RRQ should be very worried about. Their high ground defense ain't very good. Again, when you invest in a dive lineup, you don't want to be in this position.
3-man final slash. Clay gets brought back. The Immediate Fury comes down, but the Time Journey cancels it out. Now Zin was waiting at the base. He actually recalled right now as Banana jumps in, gets a stun down with the Bravest Fighter. A Nip with the Wind of Nature, still able to cut away right now. That's going to be the dive coming in with the Call Altar. But the go away stops him from diving. Banana with a flicker defensively. Zin trying to clear out this mid lane Lord. He's going to be able to do so right now, but he will lose the last base turret up top. Almost a snipe down from Warlord towards Banana. Clay brought back the muddle placement coming down. Zin with the Wind of Nature right now, jumping onto it, but he has to bounce back. Now Cheapboy flickering defensively. Banana once again with a Raven Spider onto the bits, but it does not matter. The damage is not enough. Zim coming back in with a BMI, now getting more HP. It should be Homeboys getting this right now, as Zin will finally fall to the Decimate. It's a two-man stun. It's a dreadful kill for Chibi. And Homeboys start strong with the first game victory.
A clutch pickup on the Haas Claws kept Anip in the game and got him the W here to start us off. Wow. Even before the game started, everyone was throwing big question marks at how RRQ will perform in the absence of a more anchor-like jungler, in the absence of their new pickup, the Burmese roamer in Naomi. And I guess the Homeboys saw that. The Homeboys just read that as a go signal to just put the pedal to the metal.
It was too much for them to handle. Completely steamrolled, stomped in that game. I think 0